Hey everyone, Joshua Kirk here with you once again. This is episode 132 of Album of the Day, in which I would like to before I get into it, I would like to say a few things before I get into it. Before I get right into this review. The last few albums that I'm planning on reviewing this year are CDs released this year on Yep Rock Records, which I have been a member of their honorary completist club, where they send me every album that they put out in a year. And I figured I would just, do that, until all the way up to January 1st, 2017, which would be, of course, New Year's Day. And hopefully all of you are having a pretty good holiday season so far. Maybe you're going to see, family, or, maybe you're probably putting up a tree and, stuff like that. So, yeah, hopefully your holiday season is going pretty well. Pretty much, even though we're pretty much, far from, Christmas break and stuff like that. But yeah, just wish all of you happy holidays. But anyway, I'm just gonna get on to the review. Today's artist is, a band that's been signed to Yep Rock since, since 2013. They're sort of like Americana, folk, maybe a little bluegrass, alternative country sort of duo from North Carolina. Which of course makes sense because North Carolina is where Yep Rock Records headquarters is and stuff like that. And as a member of their honorary completist club, I did get a CD copy of this new album of theirs. The duo is named Mandolin Orange, and here to review their fourth studio album, their third on Yep Rock, that was released on September 30th, 2016. The album is called Blindfaller, and, of course, this was released in September, but, it was pretty much late September, so it pretty much counts as an October album release a little bit. And I had, first heard of this duo before this album. I mean, this duo first, stole my heart a couple of years ago with, their second album, their first for Yep Rock, This Side of Jordan. Which I thought was a great record, great songwriting, really beautiful harmonies on that thing, and, really organic production and instrumentation on that thing. The band's last album came out in 2015, Such Jubilee, but I haven't really listened to that one, but, I would say I am really impressed with what I'm hearing here on this new record of theirs. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give Such Jubilee a listen sometime. This is coming a year after that record, which yearly albums does seem to be a bit of a trend going on in music now, which, yeah, is somewhat of an issue for me, but it isn't really that big of a deal, just as long as the yearly album is, very high quality, pretty much. But anyway, this is what the CD version of the album looks like. And over there, that's the thank yous. And really interesting artwork on here. The artwork on here actually kind of reminds me of the artwork for, the Def Cab for Cutie album, Plans, a little bit. Which I did do a throwback review of earlier this year. And then there's the liner notes there. Self-produced by the band, which the duo consists of singer-songwriter, mandolinist, guitarist, extraordinaire, Andrew Marlin, who also like handles some like production and stuff like that, and you know, and as well as you know, as well as a guitarist, fiddler, and you know, and singer Emily France. Anyway, yeah, there's the lyrics there, which there's about 10 songs on here. You know, it's about 40 minutes long in length. Yeah, and you know, that's the CD digipack packaging for you know, the new Mandolin Orange album, Blindfaller. Now, you know, this new album of theirs definitely has that, you know, kind of, you know, that same kind of, you know, earnest sort of, you know, feel and stuff like that as, like, you know, some of their previous work. But I would say probably the band has, like, matured a little bit in terms of, like, songwriting a little bit on here. Writing on here a little bit. You know, it's definitely a record that, you know, definitely has some very smart lyrics, and, you know, like, the band's known for some pretty smart lyrics as well, and, you know, they're sort of a band that kind of, you know, that, you know, where, you know, you can just listen to their music, and a lot of their songs definitely feel like, you know, they could be classics from, you know, here on out, regardless if, you know, if everybody's gonna, regardless if a lot of people are gonna know about them or not. The production on this thing is definitely very organic. You know, the mandolins, the guitars, the upright bass, the drums, the fiddle. They definitely all sound very crisp, and you know, definitely very crystal clear in the mix. You know, mostly acoustic instruments here, but yeah, like, definitely played with such passion here, and you know, definitely love the way that they sound here. Like, Andrew Marlin really does show off his skills as a mandolin player here. And player here, you know, the acoustic guitars sound, excuse me, the acoustic guitars sound really nice on here, and then of course, you know, and of course the fiddles sound good on here too, and then of course, you know, it's all rounded out with some, you know, pretty, you know, prominent rhythm section of upright bass and drums, and occasionally pedal steel will pop up too, and it sounds really nice on there too. So yeah, really impressed with the way the instrumentation sounds. And it's also a pretty versatile record, pretty much. You know, there are elements in here of, like, folk, you know, and of course Americana, you know, and stuff like that. Kana in here as well. Alternative country and bluegrass certainly do, you know, pop up, you know, at a few moments here. Moments here and stuff like that. So the band pretty much continues, you know, their very versatile mix of sounds in here, and I think they do it beautifully here. You know, I right now I'm just gonna, you know, talk about specific tracks on this album that I do really like, or like, you know, it's like you know, there are songs on here, you know, there are definitely, like, some sad, you know, kind of, you know, like, you know, there's definitely a very diverse mix here. There's some pretty sad, you know, like a breakup, you know, songs on here, like Picking Up Pieces or Cold Lover's Waltz. But yet at the same time, they're not like this self-absorbed, like self-indulgent kind of thing. It's still very smart and intelligent, pretty much. I mean, the song Picking Up Pieces, you know, sounds like kind of a, you know, sounds like kind of a lonely, kind of, somber tearjerker that could have been written by like Willie Nelson in like the Nelson in the 70s or something like that. Certainly sounds like, it could be like a country classic there, and it's definitely one of my favorite songs on that album. The lyrics on that thing, just absolutely, probably it's probably one of the most depressing songs on the entire album, but not in a bad way or anything like that. Features some really, it features really gorgeous mandolin and fiddle solos on the track, as well as kind of a lonely kind of, shadowy pedal steel in the background that I think carries it all really nicely on there. And we have Cold Lover's Waltz, which is, it's, a song, one of the few songs on here that has Emily France on the lead vocal, as majority has Andrew Marlin singing lead. And I will admit, Emily France definitely was a perfect choice for the lead vocal here on this track, because, she really brings that sort of, emotional perspective that I think works best for the song, that, probably would, wouldn't be as good if Andrew was singing that pretty much. It's sort of a song about how, like, when that person in your life, leaves you for someone else, it kind of, you kind of feel caught in the swing of this waltz that they've sort of put you in. So yeah, that's kind of what this song's about, and it's definitely got kind of this waltz feel, like, the drums definitely have that kind of, vibe going on there. And there's some really nice acoustic and electric guitar stylings on the track, and Emily France also delivers, this really beautiful, like, string arrangement, which is like the fiddle stacked, like, 10 tracks high, creating this really epic sound that makes it sound just really euphoric and cathartic, and, it just sounds just so downright beautiful on there. Full on there, pretty much. Pretty much. And, this song, Picking Up Pieces, is, kind of about how, when you're in that similar kind of, situation, when you're in that similar kind of, situation, you just feel like, you just feel like you're just doing nothing but just kind of picking up the pieces, of your broken heart, pretty much. There definitely are some good, more stripped down songs on this album, like the song Hey Stranger, which features these really nice harmonies against, very crisp and, very kind of ear-warming, and very kind of warming, acoustic guitar, banjo, and mandolin, talking about how, there's always that person in your life, who, always seems to have just those kind of, those good time and rowdy ways, and you just kind of need to tell them, there's no burden that's greater in life. The band does a good job of incorporating some, guest musicians on here. Like Josh Oliver is a pretty common one, for example, on here, providing some guitar and mostly some additional guitars and vocals. And this is one example of a song where his voice can be heard very distinctively, pretty much. And he does bring additional instruments of, like, banjo and keyboards and stuff like that into the mix too. So yeah, I really like the harmonies on this harmonies on that track. And then we have the song Echo, which sounds like something that maybe could have come off of an album like, This Side of Jordan or something like that, which I like how it sort of shows off the band's kind of classic, poeticism, pretty much, against the really gorgeous, you know, acoustic guitar, mandolin, and harmonies on this track. You know, yeah, and one of my favorite lines here on this track, you know, would have to be probably the third verse on it, which goes, "Someday I hope to find that land of honey wine where the coffee grows on the white oak trees, and those sugar-coated mountains in spring begin to melt into the sweetest streams, where each night the starlight and the sea together form eternity, and the wind moves like an echo as the world drops off to sleep." That's that's some poeticism right there, Andrew Marlin. When, and stuff like that. You know, but then, you know, there are themes of, you know, topics like, you know, but, you know, they definitely do cover kind of a myriad of different topics here, like, you know, serving in the war on the song Wildfire, which, you know, seems to be kind of about, you know, maybe this member of Andrew Marlin's family who, you know, served in the war and was a very strong man, pretty much, but then again, he had this hatred and these demons that, you know, he kind of tried, you know, to fight every day, but then again, and eventually, you know, got the best of him, and, you know, unfortunately, yeah, Andrew, like, kind of, you know, lost that person to, you know, to like, war, but also to, like, you know, the hatred and, like, the pain that was holding him down, pretty much. You know, like, definitely a very smart song, and I think it's bound to probably bring tears to anyone who's, you know, lost one of their loved ones to, you know, serving as a man in the war, pretty much. You know, definitely one of the best tracks on here. You know, like, the mandolin solo in the middle of that song is incredible, and you know, really pretty, along with the acoustic guitar solos on there, and the pedal steel definitely does, you know, color the atmosphere and the background of the song really nicely, I think, you know. Definitely one of the more powerful songs in here lyrically. But then there are themes of politics that show up on one of the songs near the end of the album, "Gospel Shoes," which, you know, it seems to be this song about all these people in modern politics kind of trying to use freedom as a weapon, pretty much, and talking about how it's just really unfair and really does, you know, seem kind of, you know, hurtful to people. You know, and Andrew sort of reflects on how it, you know, kind of, you know, how it kind of, you know, how it kind of really, you know, disturbs the people around him, including, like, his mother or something like that. So like, you know, musically it sounds upbeat and definitely sounds very kind of, you know, joyous with its really beautiful and infectious acoustic and electric guitar, mandolin, and banjo that, you know, plays on the song. Song with a nice atmosphere coming from the rhythm section of the electric of the bass and drums, but, like, lyrically it's definitely very dark, and, you know, it certainly is a song that, you know, definitely does show the band sort of trying to reflect on modern society, as well as kind of, you know, their own, you know, problems, pretty much. I'm gonna highlight a few more songs on here before I head out. You know, there's the song, you know, a few more. I'm gonna highlight the last few songs that I haven't talked about yet in this video before I head out. We have we have the song "My Blinded Heart," which, you know, is, you know, a song which is, again, kind of another heartbreaking, you know, country ballad that sounds like, you know, could have been a classic written by someone by, like, Willie Nelson or something like that, with its lyrics. But I also do really like the twangy guitars on here, and, you know, the really nice mandolin solos on the track. But then again, the band does experiment a little bit on this song with the instrumentation a little bit by incorporating some kind of some kind of ethereal psychedelic keyboards into the end of the song, which are a pretty unusual addition on there, but thankfully I think they made them work here on one of the songs that I consider to be one of the highlights here. Here. Then we have Lonesome Whistle, which is another pretty euphoric track on there. I think, musically, and also another song that definitely does continue the band's usual kind of, very smart and very colorful kind of poeticism here. And it shows the band kind of experimenting a little bit as the two band members play like different instruments on the song besides their usual mandolin and fiddle and stuff like that. They like Andrew Marlin's also plays banjo, upright bass, and even the drums on the song. While Emily France also picks up an electric guitar, kind of incorporating some almost kind of like rock instrumentation, but not really rocking out or anything like that, but using it very subtly, kind of mirroring their usual instrumentation with it and making it sound really nice on here, giving it just the right atmosphere, I think. The song Hard Travelin' is probably the most country-oriented song on the entire album. It's really twangy and, and fast pretty much, even though that, while I do like the ideas on that song lyrically, Andrew Marlin sort of reflected on his time on the road and and how it kind of sometimes kind of leads him astray and stray and stuff like that while still kind of doing something positive for his own life. But I felt musically the country tinged instrumentation just didn't really work as well for me as most of the cuts here did. It's it just sounds so country that it doesn't really sound like Mandolin Orange to me. Orange to me, and I thought of them as more folk and more alternative country. I had a hard time connecting with the country tinged instrumentation here on this track. But the album does close out really well with the song Take This Heart of Gold, which is another just very gorgeous, heartbreaking, kind of stripped down ballad from the band, still showing, their lyrical prowess and their ability to create just a really, nice, folky kind of Americana, all country ballad pretty much. And this song, instead of the band's usual acoustic guitars and mandolins and stuff like that, there's Andrew Marlin actually plays electric guitar on the song. So it's basically just an electric guitar and their two voices. But yeah, definitely I like how it leaves more room for just the very heartbreaking and very poetic writing here. With the line in the chorus that goes, "Take this heart of gold and melt it down, and I'll come around," which I heard was inspired by a Tom Waits lyric that Andrew Marlin misheard. So yeah, a little Tom Waits inspiration there. Cool, that's awesome. Awesome. So yeah, I think overall, I think this is definitely a very good album. It definitely sees the band kind of maturing a little bit, but the band definitely still has that sense of earnestness, and they're still very heartfelt and stuff like that. Just as they were a few years ago on that Yep Rock debut of theirs, and they create really gorgeous soundscapes here with the really nice organic instrumentation, as well as the very intelligent and very heartbreaking lyrics, which are especially noticeable on more of the ballad themed tracks here. More of the ballad themed tracks here on this album. And of course, the harmonies sound great, and stuff like that, and also like a few other additional musicians on here include Clint Mulligan on upright bass, as well as Kyle Keegan on drums, and Alien Love on the pedal steel, who all brought really nice rhythm section to the album, I will admit here. So yeah, I'm feeling kind of a strong 8 out of 10 on this new Mandolin Orange record, Blindfaller. Definitely listen to this album, whether you're familiar with them or not. Some of you that are watching probably are just now discovering Mandolin Orange, but I still do recommend you give this a listen, and give this side of Jordan a listen too, if you want to scope out their older stuff before diving into this. But I think, but I don't think this would be too bad of an intro to them either. So yeah, that's my review of the new Mandolin Orange album, Blindfaller, and I'll see you for episode 133.